like, I don't think this is a book for black people. Of course, like, black people should read this, absolutely. But I think this is a book for white people because it talks about really clearly and poignantly, like, this is what his experience was. And there are some good ones. There are some good white people in the story.
A lot of examples of how to be an ally.
And how to not be... Hey, and welcome to Middle Ground Books After Hours.
My name's Megan.
I'm Debra.
And I'm Lance. And we have kind of an odd episode this time around.
Because normally they're so normal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're super normal.
Yeah, Megan has become the normal police. You can see your normal police badge. No, so we talked with Cosmic Ron about what to do for this episode. And instead of introducing it the way that I was going to, I'm going to introduce it completely different. Like, we're going to talk about two people in particular. One happens to be an autobiography by a guy with some help. The other is the work of an allegedly literary genius. And what do they both have in common? They were ugly as anything.
What?
One guy, like...
They were both in the 20th century. They have that in common.
Well, but I want to stick with the fact they were both just ugly. In fact,
Wow,
one of them...
so mean.
Why are
No.
you saying
The
this?
one guy said, we'll just call him Sam for right now, that if you could imagine that the Lord, like, made somebody the ugliest man that they could ever imagine and then smacked him with the ugly stick and beat him soundly.
You saying he said this about himself?
No, somebody said this about him.
Ow.
That's so
Yeah.
mean.
And we'll just call him
Howie?
Howard. He was not a good looker.
Inbreeding may have played a part.
Yeah.
That was... Yeah.
So they weren't super attractive. And they are both from the 20th century. Howard is a good deal older. In fact, Howard died about the time that Sammy Davis... And then I just ruined it. I just so ruined it. The other way I thought that we could introduce this is Sammy Davis Jr. and H.P. Lovecraft walked into a bar.
I don't think they would have been friends, just saying, because HP was a
Didn't
bit
have
of
any
a
friends.
racist
Yeah.
Well, and
and a recluse.
not only racist, but he didn't like Jews either. So that's 2 counts down for Sammy.
Poor Sammy. Got both of them
Yeah.
going against. Yeah.
So this episode was going to be primarily about racism. And racism is, I kind of hate the term a little bit because it's not really the true term because there's only one human race. So
We are all peoples together. All of us. We are people.
Prejudice and hate.
it is prejudice and hate, but racism is the short term, like the shorthand term we use. It's a little bit different than strictly prejudice because it is so systemic.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that came really true in, and we're going to be talking about Sammy Davis Jr.'s book, Yes, I Can. And H.P. Lovecraft. We're not going to talk about Cthulhu or the Necronomicon because we got the best hits of H.P. Lovecraft.
Allegedly.
Not the best hits.
I doubt
it's the
that's
best
not the actual
of H.P.
the
Lovecraft.
best of. Thank
I
you.
think
Yes.
the reason...
We were misled.
Yeah, I think when they said the best, they meant the shortest of
Yeah.
H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah, they were a collection of short stories, but didn't have his most famous works.
Most everything that he wrote was a short story, though,
That's
because
true.
he published only in magazines
Yeah.
during his lifetime, we learned. So most of his works were short works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But they weren't like the ones that he's known for. So it's like a best of, but didn't have
best
his most
of the
famous.
B-sides.
Yeah. It was a B-side collection, at best.
Okay, but even if it's your B-side, you should still be a decent writer and not a...
Well,
Yeah.
we'll get into that.
Thank
I'm
you
sure.
for like crinkling that one up. Run. Before we get to that, what do we got going on in the store, guys?
So, let's see. Oh, yes. The the day that this episode is dropping, Thursday, August 20th, will be Late Night with Meadowlark. It's going to be an open mic night and also a writer's workshop, so we would love to have you come on out for that. It will be from 6 to 8 p.m., I believe. Isn't that the normal time? Yeah. Well, story time on Saturday, as usual. It'll be on the 22nd at 11 a.m. You are welcome to join us for family story time.
About?
That's a good question. Last Saturday, it was a back-to-school episode because, crazily enough, it's 107 degrees outside today, and we're going back to school.
And also celebrating black mold.
I mean, we have highly humid environments in our school buildings right now, and the district is battling those.
Oh.
And then what else do we have on here? Oh, next Wednesday, August 26th, is National Dog Day. So the cat's got an international day, but dogs only
just
get
a national
the United
day.
States. Maybe they're not loved world over like cats.
I mean, I'm a cat person, so I might be biased, so I don't know. The 27th is the Fantasy Book Club.
It is.
On Thursday.
What fantasy book club are you going to read?
So we are going to be discussing The Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi. I loved this. I'm so excited to talk about it. It was, I don't know who picked this, but good job them, because this was a fun piratey adventure and I loved it. So I'm excited for Fantasy Book Club next week.
We've talked sometimes about separating the author from the art. And
when the author is problematic, as some are.
Yeah, so Neil Gaiman, J.K. Rowling are kind of the two that have been on point for that as to who we thought that we can still appreciate, even if we don't appreciate.
I think where some people struggle with that is that those people are still living and collecting money for those books, whereas someone like H.P. Lovecraft, he's been dead a while. So
okay, but also that you sort of sidetracked where I think you were going with that. Even if we separate the artist from the work, I would argue that the work is not all that great in the case of H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah, I did not enjoy the things that we read. Granted, I fell asleep during some of these. That's how riveting it was.
Well, we're going to come back. I'll read a few portions from H.P. Lovecraft, since some of you, as our listeners, maybe haven't read any H.P. Lovecraft, and I'll let you make your own decisions. But what do you guys think? The racism is pretty thick in some of these.
It's very evident that he was a classist and racist in these writings that we read.
And some people will excuse that away with, well, think about the time period that he was writing in. And, okay, I get that and I can accept that. But that still does not make it good writing, because the thing that was driving me crazy about it was how he kept recycling the same vocabulary.
Yeah.
Like sometimes saying the very same word 3 times within a paragraph. And that's like basic writing knowledge, that you should not do that. You should not make your listeners or your readers be like, ugh,
to be fair,
that again.
He only had like a high school education,
and
was a recluse, and he didn't have like a lot of. Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. That when people say, "Oh, he was a genius," okay, I get what they're saying. He did introduce some new concepts and some new ideas that led other later people to create. He can be an inspiration. I think what I'm saying is, I can say I understand that later authors, later artists in other areas found inspiration in him. They feel that he is like a trailblazer in a new genre of horror that didn't previously exist. I can respect that, but I also still think that his writing is not good.
Yeah.
All right. So here's some of the ones that we read. We read Reminiscence of Dr. Samuel Johnson. Just a little bit creepy, but not very explanatory, and quite a bit dated, like no short sentences. Beyond the Wall of Sleep, about
Dream World,
and about
like
the
a contact
lesser man that
was it was very classist.
Dagon, which is actually his first story, about a man who's shipwrecked and then suddenly on this vast ancient world where he meets one of
I think I was asleep for that one.
Yeah.
It was quite something.
The White Ship, which is about kind of a hopelessly arrogant and conceited guy.
Who didn't listen to everyone around him, who kept telling him, no, stop, don't go there, that we shouldn't go there. Should have listened. You really should have listened.
The Statement of Randolph Carter, The Doom That Came to Sarnath, The Cats of Ulthar, that was one of Megan's favorites, Nylar Hoptip, Polaris, The Street, Ex Oblivione.
Oh, The Street. That one was incredibly offensive.
Facts concerning the late Arthur Herman and his family, about a little bit of...
That one was very creepy.
And about inbreeding between quasi-human apes and, an Englishman, which, take that for what it's worth. The Terrible Old Man, The Picture in the House, about an abandoned village and a cannibal.
Ooh.
The Tree, The Nameless City, The Tomb, The Music of Eric Zahn, Salafais, Herbert West, Reanimator, The Lurking Fear of Memory, Hypnos, What the Moon Brings, The Hound, The Festival, The Unnamable, The Temple. So this is exactly none of
his most famous. Like The Call of Cthulhu, of course, being number one that everyone remembers him for. And then At the Mountains of Madness is another one of his most popular.
Okay, but The Call of Cthulhu, again, I think that it's another case where that was an inspiration for later people who created a mythos surrounding it more than the story itself. So he is like, people built upon his work more than that his own work was worth reading.
No, that's what it sounds like to me as well. I mean, I know a lot of other authors like refer to him as like their inspiration for their creepy stuff that they write. Yeah, I think he just was an inspiration, and I would maybe give his more popular works a try at some point, because since that's the one that inspired all these others, but these others that we did read,
we read his first one, which we were told we should read. So we did, the Dagon one.
I slept through it. But.
To convey any idea of these monstrosities is impossible. They were of the reptile kind, with body lines suggesting sometimes the crocodile, sometimes the seal, but more often the nothing of which either the naturalist or the paleontologist ever heard. In size, they approximated a small man, and their forelegs bore delicate and evidently flexible feet curiously like human hands and fingers. But strangest of all were their heads, which presented a contour violating all known biological principles. To nothing can such things be well compared. In one flash, I thought of comparisons as varied as the cat, the bulldog, the mythic satyr, and the human being. Not Jove himself had so colossal and protuberant a forehead, yet the horns and the noselessness and the alligator-like jaw placed the things outside all established categories. I debated for a time on the reality of the mummies, half suspecting they were artificial idols, but soon decided they were indeed some Paleogean species which had lived when the Nameless City was alive. To crown their grotesqueness, most of them were gorgeously enrobed in the costliest of fabrics and lavishly laden with ornaments of gold, jewels, and unknown shining metals. So that's maybe a good example of his writing.
That one, that was okay. It was just but it was literally just a description of a creature. There was no action, no plot, it was just a description.
He tends to be very wordy.
And they are things that I think I will not soon forget. The imagery, the things that happened, like, they're going to be things that stick with me.
That's true. They do make, because he is so wordy and he is so descriptive, it does make a picture in the brain. But when I was speaking to a friend, a regular at the store, this friend pointed out that he also tends to just describe the horrible impact that it has upon the narrator and not describe what the horror was in many cases.
Yeah,
so
he
that
does
you're
do
just
that.
left going, okay, so the person lost his mind and it was really horrifying, but we still don't know what it was. You didn't tell us anything.
You would have to
what
fill.
It was.
You would have to fill
so
that
it's
in.
Like a
what is
psychological horror that is created in the mind of the reader.
Right.
So that might be good writing.
Yeah,
I might be able to respect that.
You're left to fill in, like, what's the most horrible thing you can think of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for some people, that's going to be worse than for others.
Yeah.
And that was from The Nameless City. And this one is from The Street, which is his allegory that is perhaps his most offensive bit of writing, and I'm only going to read just a tiny bit. New kinds of faces appeared in the street, swarthy, sinister faces with furtive eyes and odd features, whose owners spoke unfamiliar words and placed signs in known and unknown characters upon most of the musty houses. Push carts crowded the gutters. A sordid, undefinable stench settled over the place, and the ancient spirit slept.
Yeah, we learned a little bit about his background, and he apparently was really prejudiced against a lot of various immigrant groups that were in the U.S. and
particularly in New York City, where he ended up living for a while.
Yeah, he was not a fan.
So if H.P. Lovecraft is a food, the H.P. Lovecraft that we read, what would it be?
Something like slimy and gloopy.
Squid.
Squid can be good.
Octopus, like...
No, that can be good. I'm saying something that's more like gruel. Like,
so
like
I would
you
say
pick up a spoonful and it's slimy.
Tinned sardines. It is.
Some people really like tinned sardines. That's a good choice.
It's
good choice.
Yeah, some people like it. A lot of people don't.
Yeah, and sometimes you get a bit of spine in there, and you never know. Like, they didn't clean the guts out of those things before they put them in tins. And it's kind of oceany. He really is.
But some people think it's a treat. It depends on your taste.
Yeah. And maybe sometimes you just want a tin of sardines.
You might.
I don't.
So Sammy Davis, Yes I Can, republished by Questlove. Some of you know who that is. And he thought the book...
Did he publish it, or he just wrote the foreword?
He wrote the foreword, but as I read it, he was the one who wanted this republished because he thought it was... And I think it is a seminal work. I would probably say every kid in school should read this.
So when was it originally published?
Well, Sammy Davis Jr. died in 1990, so it had to have been prior to that.
Right.
Huh. Does it say in the book?
Well, this was actually published way back. Like, I want to say this was published in the 50s or 60s originally.
Well,
really?
Maybe the 70s or 80s.
Yeah, it could be the 70s or 80s.
Because, like, the highest point of his career was in, like, from the mid-50s to the 60s.
Yeah, and a lot of it was looking back on that time. So, yeah, 70s would make sense. Maybe 80s.
Mm-hmm. Anyway...
I was trying to find out.
Sammy Davis Jr. literally began his career at the age of 2 because his father was a vaudeville performer and he went on tour with his father and his father's partner. And he was tap dancing and doing comedy stuff on the stage from the age of 2 years. And that was just his life and his love and his passion.
Pretty amazing. I mean, I can't imagine too many 2-year-olds I know, like, performing these routines like that. Like on a stage. Like, that's wild.
And the other thing that I think is both tragic and beautiful, and that is his father and Will Maston. Eventually, Sammy just called Will his uncle, and for all intents and purposes, he was. But they shielded him from racism. And when people treated him badly, they said, well, they're just jealous because they're not in show business. They're treating us this way because they're not in show business.
Yeah, until he was drafted to join the U.S. Army in 1944. He literally had no prior knowledge even, let alone experience, but no prior knowledge that Black people were treated
horribly.
He knew, well, but I mean, differently at all. Like, he didn't have, it was a shock to him, which is incredible that they were able to
keep that from him.
Yes.
And keep him protected from that
growing
hatred.
Up in the 20s and 30s. That's incredible.
And this is one of the beautiful things about this book is he is so sweet and he is so gentle. And at the same time, he gets so angry about the way he and others are treated. He talks unflinchingly about conditions in the allegedly separate but equal, the segregated world that he grew up in. And allegedly, segregation was supposed to have been torn down by the time that he gets back.
Yeah, no.
And that never happened.
Well, of course not. I mean, like, the civil rights movement was in the 60s. So, yeah, he was there through the thick of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But another thing that was really kind of cool and amazing besides his father and his uncle was his eventual relationship with Frank Sinatra.
Before we get to Frank, like, let's start out in the Army.
That was hard to listen to.
Okay, but he had actually known Frank briefly before that.
That's true.
They had met when he was a teenager, and they would have meals together sometimes because they were both touring and they had met. And so that happened before.
Yeah.
And then Frank got super famous.
And Frank had treated him just like a friend. So he was, because they were both performers, they were both in showbiz, and they met as equals even when he was a teenager.
So, but I'm going to go back because this book, first of all, it does contain a lot of triggers.
Yeah.
It is very hard to listen to.
Yeah.
Blacks are, and in fact, Sammy Davis uses the words that he is called. Like he doesn't, they're not blotted out. They're, as they were referred to, those are the words he uses. So be aware of that.
What the horrible, awful abusers said to him is in the book.
Yeah. And so at one point, he is in the Army and they have discovered his talent and he has made a really good friend in his drill sergeant. First of all, we'll talk first about the watch, actually.
Oh.
Yeah, that was bad.
His father and his uncle really sacrificed a lot and spent a significant amount of money.
It was like $150 or something crazy.
Remember, this is 1944, so a lot of money to buy him a really nice watch, which was the kind of watch that men in the Air Force had. And they got that for him because they were like, you are a special boy, you're going off to fight for our country. And they scrimped and saved and sold whatever to get him this beautiful watch. Maybe you didn't hear that part.
No, I did not.
Yeah.
That's makes it even worse. Yeah.
Yes. And so then, there was this awful person who was also in his barrack.
And the first thing that happened was the white plebeian, like the private who was supposed to get everybody bunks, like wouldn't let him and this other guy in
like
because they were black.
Yeah, he made them sit outside and wait.
And then they rearranged the entire barracks so that they were in the corner of the room and everybody else was somewhere else.
Wow.
And then the sergeant came in and saw what had happened and was like, who did this? Did you put yourselves over there? And Sammy and the other guy were like, no. And he said, it is Army regulation that the beds all be whatever distance apart it was, 12 inches apart, whatever it was. And this barracks will be returned to the way that it was. And he let them all know that it was not okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then these guys smashed his watch.
First, he tried to imply that Sammy must have stolen it. And since he had stolen it, it should therefore be his because he didn't deserve it, which was patently not true.
Ugh.
And
I hate racists.
And so Sammy actually got his nose. He basically got in a fight every day with people who were calling him names and putting him down. And so he wasn't a big man, but he just punched everybody and fought everybody. And so his nose got repeatedly broken while he was in the Army. And then his drill sergeant took him aside and said, this is fight with your head, don't fight with your fists. And at that point, he started dancing and people noticed.
Well, and before that, his drill sergeant took him in hand, but also told him fight with your head and started giving him access to his own library because his drill sergeant was a reader. And so at that point, Sammy Davis Jr. started reading all kinds of books, classics and things that he had not known before, and reading them and discussing them with his sergeant. So if you're
a book person, the odds are good. You're a better person than many.
Well, I mean, not that we're at all biased.
But honestly, reading books develops empathy.
It really does. Yeah.
So before we move on to Frank, we have to talk about perhaps one of the most painful episodes. Sammy is just about to make it. He's just about to go on like a USO special. He's doing a thing. And these jerks lead him to an abandoned barracks. And what happened?
They basically hazed him. They said that they noticed how he had been trying to make like he could have a relationship with this woman who was a sergeant. And it wasn't that he was trying to do any such thing. He was just working with her and talking to her and trying to show her that he and George M. Cohan Jr. had the skills and the knowledge to be able to make a really good show because they both had a background in history. They were second generation entertainers, And she was starting to agree and going to give them this opportunity like you were talking about. And these people were like, you don't have a right to be around that white woman. Who do you think you are? And
yeah, they basically torture him. Like, they're
No,
horrible.
not basically. They did torture him. They beat him soundly, made him dance, painted him with white oil paint
and then
on
poured
his
the
skin.
turpentine down the drain so he couldn't get it off of himself. Like, it's heinous.
it's horrible to listen to.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it makes you think, I kind of hope hell is real. And
Those dudes are probably there.
and again, his drill sergeant comes to the
Helped
rescue
him, yeah,
again.
helped him out. Kept other people from seeing him like that and helped him get the paint off. And he really had a lot of people that were looking out for him despite all the awfulness that some jerks do.
So, I guess it's a very touching story that it's like when I read The Seven Daughters of Dupree, that there was a lot of really horrible things, but this is better in that there are those moments of the people who are human.
I don't remember, I think you were saying that, Lance, that all these bad things that happened to him, through all that, he still was able to be positive and not be bitter. And
Yeah.
just the fact that he made it through all of that mistreatment and still had the attitude that he had and still was...
Believed in himself and that he could have a future.
Yeah.
Like you said, because of his growing up with his dad and his uncle, because he talks about that even in the book. You mentioned that there was another man, another African American who was assigned to this group and that they were waiting there together. And their response, his response and the other gentleman's response to the harassment that they were experiencing was completely different. And he, in that moment, realized they were both just trying to survive. And the other man, because of his background and experience, kowtowed to them, basically. And he felt empathy and pity for him and was like, okay, I'm not gonna do it that way. But he didn't judge the other man. He realized it was because he had been experiencing this all along. And Sammy himself realized, wow, I had a very different growing up and my life has been better.
And so why is Frank Sinatra super cool?
To Sammy, I think there were other issues Frank had in his life, but
Of
we're
course.
not talking about Frank. Well, as you said earlier, when they met before, he just saw him as another entertainer, a guy in showbiz like him, trying to make it. And Frank did become famous before Sammy did, and he kind of helped him out.
And it wasn't just Frank. Mickey Rooney also literally put him on stage with him and almost got into a fist fight with, actually did get in a fist fight. They had a big party and Sammy was there and this jerk wandered into the party and said, "Who let this in here?" And Mickey literally punched him in the face and then said, "Party's over."
So I grew up watching old movies on Nickelodeon and I always liked Mickey Rooney. He always played sort of the underdog, cute, awkward best friend kind of guy.
Yeah.
I always liked him.
When Sammy starts making it big, he plays this club in Florida, and segregation laws are still in force in Florida. He played on TV, and it was the Colgate Comedy Hour, and the guy who was in charge of it got hate mail from all these people who said they'd stop using toothpaste in case the likes of that guy had used the Colgate toothpaste.
Wow.
And so the sponsors were pulling their money, and the guy who was in charge of the Colgate Comedy Hour said, "No, he's going to play every show."
You go.
And so later on, when he's going to Florida to play the show in Florida, people at the train station said, "Everyone's welcome in Florida except the and the Jew." Because and they met him at the station with that sign, and there's a whole bunch of people there.
Oh my gosh.
But he still managed to get to the show, and then there was a guy outside who had made this newspaper saying about how drives Sammy Davis from Florida, lest, all these black people are going to suddenly litter the beaches of Florida, and you had to stomp him out and get rid of him.
Oh, my.
Milton Berle got out of his limousine to see the show, punched the guy in the face, knocked him down.
The guy with the sign just like laid him out.
And took all the papers and threw him in a mud puddle.
Good for him.
Which, I don't know if a celebrity could get by with that now, but I really kind of...
I would be on board. I'm like, yeah, punch the racist in the face and destroy their stupid propaganda. I'm in favor.
Mm-hmm.
So if Yes I Can is a food item, what would it be?
Something that gives energy and strength. Wheaties. I don't know. Wheaties. A big steak. Something that gives you strength to go on and to believe that the world can change for the better. I don't know. What do you think?
That's really hard. I do think that probably this is the best autobiography I've ever listened to, read, had any experience. We did listen to this one in the main. It is not read by Sammy Davis. But
he died in 1990.
Yeah, it would be hard to work that out. Part of me wants to say it'd be like beef jerky just because it's something that's good that has been through it.
Right? You got to really chew.
But I would say anybody who's an entertainer should read this. Like, he just so many notes on what it means to be a performer, be, a speaker, a writer, an artist, like any of those things. And especially, like, I don't think this is a book for Black people. Of course, like, Black people should read this. Absolutely. But I think this is a book for white people because it talks about really clearly and poignantly, like, this is what his experience was. And there are some good ones. There are some good white people in the story.
A lot of examples of how to be an ally.
And how to not be...
Well, and like I said, I think it's good for anyone because it's easy in today's world to look around and be discouraged and to feel hopeless. And I'm sure that is how a lot of people felt in the 50s and 60s, that it was hopeless. And yes, there is still a lot of reprehensible stuff that happens in our world today. But when you look back and see how things have changed, this can give us hope that our hopeless things can maybe also change.
Yeah, it doesn't have to stay this way.
Yeah, and having the courage to stand up and be, a Milton Berle, a Frank Sinatra, a drill sergeant.
Punch those racists in the face.
Well, or even do it quietly, like the drill sergeant said. Like he said, use your head.
Well, and at the same time, the other question that H.P. Lovecraft, at what point do we stop listening to someone because they have a warped view of other people? At what point do we close off that conversation? We say, you're not a person anymore. You don't have anything to offer to the human race.
Well, not that he's not a person, just that we don't need to take in his negative attitude about other people. And
you want to be careful what you feed your mind with, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like, I think there are some examples, like, we don't have a copy of Mein Kampf in the store, either in German or in English, and we will not have a copy because there is really no value in the work. Like, it has no literary value. It has no real historical value. Just knowing what it is enough to know what it is, and there isn't really much beyond that. I'm not sure that that's a beneficial investment in terms of reading that. What about
But there's so many great new books coming out every single week.
Yeah, every week.
You guys weigh in on what you think. Like, when do we break off that conversation? But in the meantime, if we talked about a book, where would we find it?
Well, there should be links to the things we discussed in the description, in the comments, or wherever.
So if I want a copy of H.P.
this.
Lovecraft's greatest hits that don't have his greatest hits.
It's not greatest hits.
It's not a rock band. Yeah, anyway.
You could find some of Sammy Davis Jr.'s greatest hits. Yes, because he actually did record music.
And those
amazing.
will be probably much better than anything by H.P. Lovecraft.
No. You can check out his work. Just be forewarned
that he is kind of a snob.
But you can find descriptions in the comments below this. You can also visit our website, middlegroundbooks.com, and click the Shop Now link. Or you can visit bookshop.org or Libro FM for your audiobooks.
Like, subscribe, do all those things. And
until next time,
we'll meet you in the middle. Hey, I'm Megan from Middle Ground Books. Thanks for listening to Middle Ground Books After Hours with me, Debra, and Lance. If you're in Emporia, stop in and see us at 606 Commercial Street. Browse books and other fun stuff, sip some tea, and just enjoy the bookshop vibes. Middle Ground Books After Hours is produced and remotely engineered by Cosmic Atom Sound Studios, producing the vision and making it sound. Cosmic Atom Sound Studios. Let's come together and build something new. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, we'll meet you in the middle.
Anything we need to say to anybody this time?
Did anyone comment on
You
past-
looked at things on the internet. Like,
We got a comment on our wine episode from
Okay, I didn't hear this. What is it?
Michaela. Don't know.
What did she say?
it was Spanish.
In another language.
And it was something about a great YouTuber, but I didn't know Sos Hartos.
We no habla español.
And I had looked it up on the internet and couldn't figure out what it was either.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it didn't translate. So, Michaela, I'm sorry I did not necessarily understand what you were saying, but we appreciate you.
You commented.
Thanks
That's
for
great.
listening. I hope you enjoyed the wine episode. And yeah, do let us know if you were able to sample any of the wines we talked about, or if you have
She is
some
a very
to
little
suggest.
person. And so there's like, yeah, well, you can click on the name and it shows like their stuff. And Michaela is not old enough to drink wine yet.
Oh, I really hope you didn't
Okay,
try
so
the wine,
don't
Michaela.
try the
Yes.
wine.
And I think it's Griller. I listened to some of your music. Like, that was kind of cool, kind of fun. So we check in on you guys.